What's up, everybody? I am that role-playing Ginger, and today is a special day because I have slowly been inching myself back into Magic the Gathering. I downloaded Magic the Gathering Arena. I don't think I'll be doing videos on that. If I do, it'll be after I've had some more practice and everything, because I have not. Today is the 26th of August, 2023. The last time I bought or played Magic the Gathering was in 2015, so I'm about 8 years behind in Magic the Gathering. So they recently announced that Lord of the Rings Middle-earth set, and that's what got me starting to think maybe I should start getting a little bit back more into it, but I put it off and put it off and put it off. This weekend, though, my buddy, he showed me the episode of South Park that involves Magic the Gathering. That's all I'm gonna say. And that was basically me throwing my hands up in the air and be like, fine, I'm gonna get back into Magic the Gathering. So I went to my local game store and picked up a bunch of boxes of commons, and I've been sorting through those all weekend. And I also got myself, I picked this guy up because I think he's cute. Tiny Bones, the Trinket Thief. I think he's cute, so I picked him up. But then today I found out that we actually have hidden away near my buddy's house in this tiny little shopping center that's like surrounded by like houses and everything. We have a tiny little collector's store, and they had the box of the Lord of the Rings set, Adventures of Middle-earth, or Tales of Middle-earth, something like that. So I picked it up, and today I'm just gonna do like a little highlights of my favorite things from it. Like this is the box that it came with, and it's absolutely stunning. Love this thing, absolutely beautiful. Inside, it's got these. I don't entirely know what all this is for, because again, this is beyond me. This is not my level of Magic the Gathering, so little not sure how it goes there, but this is the box it came in. And then I'm going to adjust the camera because I just wanted to pull the highlights of all the cards I picked up from it. Alright, so now that we're a little more zoomed in, I'm going to show, this is the dice it came with, which is basically the life counter you have for Magic the Gathering. This thing is absolutely gorgeous, and if I could have an entire set of these for D&D, I would, but I don't know if they're making those or not. But I love the green and gold. It's very, very Middle-earth, very Legend of Zelda, and I absolutely love that. Just gonna have that off to the side over here. And then these are the cards. They're the cards that I'm only gonna show 4 of the cards that were the guaranteed cards that came with the set. The rest of them are all cards that I pulled from the pack, and as you can see, got a nice chunky stack here of cards that I don't know if I haven't looked up the value on any of them or anything like that. I'm not one that usually does that. I mainly liked collecting the cards, and then I would make silly decks. I was never a great player. I just enjoyed the art, and I enjoyed being around my friends and just having a fun time. So I just wanted to show off the cards that I picked up that, as a huge, long-time Lord of the Rings fan, are really meaningful to me. But we're going to start with the first 4 being the ones that were guaranteed in the pack, and that is this version of the One Ring, which I love it. I love the art and everything. My OCD brain is kind of upset at the asymmetry and just an arm sticking out, but that's because it goes with the Gollum the Patient Plotter card, and I love these kind of meshes and everything. My only thing is that I feel a compulsion that I can't have either one of these cards in any deck unless the other one is also in them. But I really like these ones. These are 2 of the ones that were guaranteed to come in the pack. And then we also have these 2, Samwise the Stout-Hearted and Frodo Sauron's Bane. And they kind of like advertise it on the box as like this being the way it's supposed to go. Which I get, yeah, it's pretty cool. It creates some sort of big collage, and I'm not sure how long Magic the Gathering has been doing that, but I really like that. I'm a huge fan of like cool artsy things like that. Like, I still have all the old Dragon Ball Z box DVDs that put side by side make the logo for Dragon Ball Z, and so that kind of thing really does like speak to me. Alright, now the rest of the cards here are cards that I pulled from the 8 booster packs that came with the set. First up we have Gandalf, Friend of the Shire, and I love it because I love his, Fellowship of the Ring is one of those ones where everyone's like, that's the lesser of the 3 movies, and it's the lesser of the books and everything. It's my favorite because it's the start of the adventure, and that part, it's more mystical for me. It's we're at home, we're nice and calm, and we're leaving to go on this magical adventure. That's why I love Fellowship of the Ring, and this card is like the epitome of the beginning of Fellowship of the Ring for me. After that, we have Elrond, Lord of Rivendell. And this one I was very happy to pull because Elrond is a gigantic powerhouse in Middle-earth, and so very happy I got this one. I've never played Commander, that's the other thing. All my friends were just starting to get into Commander right when I was getting out of Magic the Gathering, so they all started playing Commander, and I was just like, I'm fine, I don't need to make a big old deck and everything. So I don't have as many legendary creatures as they all do, so the fact that I pulled a lot of legendary creatures in the Lord of the Rings setting makes me very happy and excited to see what I might be able to do with any of them. The next one I got is an instant. It is Slip on the Ring, and it's the instance where Frodo falls at the prancing pony, and the ring lands on his finger. All these cards mention that the ring tempts you. I haven't looked up the mechanics, so I don't exactly know what that entails, but a lot of the cards in this set involve the ring tempting you. And then, as you can see on Frodo, Sauron's Bane, he has an ability. If you pay 3 and if you basically start him off, he's a 1 summon, 1 white, then you can play either 2 whites, 2 blacks, 1 white, 1 black, any combination of that, and turn him from the Halfling Citizen into a Halfling Scout, and it makes him stronger and gives him lifelink, and then you can upgrade him again by paying 3 black to turn him from a Scout to a Halfling Rogue, and then if you've been tempted by the ring 4 or more times in the game, and you attack and do damage to a player, you automatically win the game. That player loses the game. That's an interesting thing, so I need to look up that mechanic. The next one I got, Saruman the White. He is another legendary creature. Very interesting that I pulled him because I figured he would be... I know that Magic the Gathering also has like non-foils versions of foils and all that, but I figured that if I were going to get Saruman the White, it would probably be the big one in the pack, but the fact that I pulled him just like as a side one, pretty cool. Up next, we have Grishnach, Brash Instigator. He is one of the Goblin Soldiers, and so he was a legendary creature, so I was like, he's a 1/1, but he's a legendary creature? I gotta see what abilities he has and everything, and see how I might be able to do that. This one I was cool with, Grond the Gatebreaker. This is, you'll see it in the movies, them all chanting, Grond, 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 and just like hammering at the gates of Gondor. This is the giant... It was like a giant warg or a giant boar in the movie. These cards I don't have really any of, so I'm very happy that I got these. I got some of the borderless ones that are like full image. I got Pippin's Bravery, which is an instance, and you can sacrifice a food to give a target creature +4/+4 to the end of the turn. Otherwise, the instant is just 1 green that gives them +2/+2. That's really fun because Pippin, is all about food and everything, so that was really cool. We have the Horn of the Mark, which is the horn that is, the Horn of the Mark is the one that Theoden blows? I don't think the Horn of the Mark is the one that Boromir has. I think that's the Horn of Gondor. So this one, I believe, goes with Theoden and the Rohirrim. I have 2 of these that I got, but this one is a foil one. The Torment of Golem, which is just mean. It's just a sad card. He looks like he's just in pain. I don't like that. I also don't know what Amassing 2 Orcs Orcs 2 does. Basically, if you put 2 1/1 counters on an army you control, it's also an orc. If you don't control an army, create a 0/0 black orc army. Okay, so you have armies are like a new token? That's interesting. This is all new stuff for me. Again, 8 years away from the game. The next one is just a legendary Ent named Quickbeam, Upstart Ent. He is a pretty beefy guy. He's got 5/6, but he is a 6 cost. Whenever a Quickbeam or another treefolk enters the battlefield under your control, up to 2 target creatures gain +2/+2 and gain trample until the end of the turn, which is pretty cool. That's very fitting, and I hope that like the Ents have that kind of like strategy of just like domino affecting tramples and boosts to themselves, so that if you get more and more Ents, it's just scary powerful, because that's very reminiscent of the Last March of the Ents. These next ones actually are really cool because they all came in the same pack. I don't know if that was planned or not, but they're all basically the Eagles. So I have Landreval, Horizon Witness, which is a bird noble. He is a 5 cost legendary bird. He flying, whenever 2 or more creatures you control attack a player, target attacking creature without flying gains flying till the end of the turn. I got Meneldor, the Swift Savior, which is another legendary bird soldier. He's a 4-cost. He's flying whenever Meneldor, Swift Savior, deals combat damage to a player. Exile up to 1 target creature you own, then return it to battlefield under your control. And then I got Gwaihir, the Wind Lord. This is the one that I think saves Gandalf. He is a 5-cost, he's a dual color, white and blue. He's a legendary bird noble. The spell costs 2 colorless less as a cast as long as you've drawn 1 or 2 more cards this turn. He has flying and vigilance, and other birds you control have vigilance. That one I'm really happy about. This one, though, is probably the one that I was like the most yes when I pulled it. It is a borderless Rosie Cotton of the South Lane. I love it. It's beautiful. When Rosie, she's a legendary halfling peasant. 1/1, she's a 1 white, 2 colorless. When Rosie Cotton of the South Lane enters the battlefield, create a food token. Whenever you create a token, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control other than Rosie. So I like that. I don't know how I could really utilize it, but I love that, and the card art is very beautiful too. This one is a legendary land. I got the Shire, which is awesome. I love it because it's a green land. However, but if you control a legendary creature, it doesn't come in tapped. You can pay 1 colorless and a green and tap it, and you can tap an untapped creature you control to create a food token. Next one is the Stone of Eric, which is, I believe, one of the Seeing Stones. And it's a legendary artifact, only costs 1. If a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. And then you can pay 2 and tap it to sacrifice the Stone of Eric and exile the target player's entire graveyard and then draw a card. So this is very powerful if you're dealing with a deck of things that keep coming back from the graveyard. This one I like is just a green forest. It's a foil green forest that I just pulled from the thing. Next one is Celeborn the Wise. He's a legendary elf noble, 4 cost. Whenever you attack with one or more elves, I can scry 1, and whenever I scry, Celeborn the Wise gets a +1/+1 until the end of the turn for each card looked at while scrying this way, which is really cool. For scrying decks, this guy can immediately turn into a scary thing on the field. The next one's another legendary artifact, Mirror of Galadriel. It's a legendary artifact. Scry 1, draw a card. This ability costs 1 colorless less to activate for each legendary creature you control. So basically, it's cheap to throw it down because it costs 2, but then you have to do 5 and a tap to scry 1 and then draw 1. However, if you get more and more legendaries, you can just scry and draw almost every turn. The next one is a cool duo caller, Legolas, Counter of Kills. He is a green-blue. He's a legendary elf archer. He has reach, which is really cool and very fitting. Whenever you scry, if Legolas Counter of Kills is tapped, you may untap it. Do this only once each turn. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Legolas. So he's really cool because he, again, like Celeborn, works with scrying, and he basically gets more powerful the more enemy creatures die. This one's really cool. I don't know what the specific art style of this is. I think it's just... I think you would just call it another Borderless, but the style of it is very Lord of the Rings. This is another Samwise the Stout-Hearted. However, this one has the border of the ring and everything. Legendary Halfling Peasants. Now I have 2 Stout-Hearted Samwises. Very happy about that. I have the Flame of Honor. It is an instant. It's cost 1 colorless, 1 blue, and 1 red. Choose 1. If you control a wizard, you can when you cast a spell, you may choose 2. Target player draws 2 cards, destroy target artifact. Flame of Honor deals 5 damage to target creature. So that one's really cool because I love the fight between the Balrog and Gandalf. This next one is another holo. It is Escape from Orthanc. This is when Gandalf leaves Saruman's tower. Instant. It only costs 1 white. Target creature gets +1/+3 and gains flying until the end of the turn. Untap it. So that is a cheap, really good boost right there. Nice little save point. This one is just it's a basic land, but I absolutely adore the Middle-earth map. It is gorgeous, and this is a plains, and I love it so much. This one is actually borderless, but I got 2 of them. They are Krabai from Dunland, as Orlando Bloom would say in his role. These are the crows that Saruman basically uses to spy on the party. They are a 2 colorless, 1 black bird horror. And they have flying, and whenever they enter the battlefield, amass orcs 2. So I have 2 of those, so if I figure out what the orc army thing is, these would probably be pretty good to throw in there. Speaking of orcs, we have Malhur, Uruk-hai Captain. Can't remember if this is the one that kills Boromir or not. I have to look back at the specific orc names and everything to figure that out. But he is a 1 black, 1 red summon legendary orc soldier with menace. If one or more +1/+1 counters will be put on an army, goblin, or orc you control, that many +1/+1 counters are put on it instead. So he basically boosts counters on armies that work with his type. The next one I'm really confused about because I have no idea how this would come into being. It's a token, but it is a token legendary creature dragon, and it is Smaug. I don't know what cards are summoning token legendary dragons, but this is flying in haste, and when this creature dies, create 14 treasure tokens. That's insane. But I love that it's the book. It's not like just a picture of Smaug. It's a picture of a painting of Smaug in what would probably be the Red Book of the West that contains the story of the Hobbit and everything. The next one is another legendary orc. He is Gorbag of Minas Morgul. He is a legendary orc soldier, 1 colorless, 1 black. Whenever a goblin or orc you control deals combat damage to a player, you may choose to sacrifice it. When you do, choose 1, draw a card, or create a treasure token. This next one is pretty cool. The Mouth of Sauron. It is a 3 colorless, 1 blue, 1 black, legendary human advisor. I like this because, and I know I'll probably get some eye rolls because of it, when I was playing, my favorite combination was blue and black, but it wasn't to constantly counter things. No, I had a deck that basically poisoned the lands that my buddies would be using, and anytime they would tap it, it would take life from them. And anytime they would lose life, like I would gain life, stuff like that. That's what my main deck was all about. Was basically like, I'm polluting your land and then I'm drinking in the pollution and I heal from it. So having a blue-black here is awesome. It's the legendary human advisor. When the Mouth of Sauron enters battlefield, target player mills 3 cards, then amass Orc X, where X is the number of instant and sorcery cards in that player's graveyards, which is really cool. Next one's another orc. Ugluk, the White Hand. He is a 2 colorless, 1 black, 1 red summon, legendary orc soldier. Whenever another creature you control dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Ugluk, the White Hand. If that creature was a goblin or orc, put 2 +1/+1 counters on him as well. So he's good to have out there if you have a lot of goblins or orcs that are just dying because they're, especially in the goblins' cases, usually pretty weak. The next one is another borderless, and I'm very happy about it. It is an Oliphant, which is a 5 colorless, 1 red elephant. It has trample. Whenever it attacks, another target creature you control gets +2/+0 and gains trample until the end of the turn. Mountain cycling, I need to read up on again because that was a thing when I was playing, but I never really figured cycling. It's something to do about like putting it back in your deck, I believe, but I could be very wrong. But it's very powerful. It's a 6/4, and then it also boosts and gives trample to another one of your creatures. The next card is also a borderless, and it came in the same pack right after the Oliphant. It is Orcish Bowmasters. They are 1 colorless and 1 black, creature orc archer, with flash, and when Orcish Bowmasters enters the battlefield, and whenever an opponent draws a card except the first one they draw on each of their draw steps, Orcish Bowmasters deal 1 damage to any target, and then amass Orcs 1. I like it because I'm pretty sure these all form one giant montage of Sauron's army, and I would love to be able to get all of those, but I don't know if I will. The next one is actually, in my opinion, a better art version of Frodo's Sauron's Bane, which is one of the ones that I picked up from the guaranteed pile. I actually like the artwork in this one a lot more than I do the other one. That's not to say the other one's bad, but this one just really heightens the drama of the finale of Lord of the Rings for me. Up next, we have another legendary land. We have the Grey Havens. It's a legendary land. When it enters the battlefield, scry 1, and then I can tap it, and I believe the little diamond is now the colorless symbol, but I could be wrong, because I've been noticing that on some newer cards, and I'm like, I don't remember that. It could be colorless, but I, again, could be wrong. Or I can tap it and add 1 mana of any color among legendary creature cards in your graveyard. Next one, I have Glorfindel, who was unfortunately absent from the movies. Dauntless Rescuer. He's a legendary elf noble, costs 2 colorless, 1 green. Whenever you scry, choose 1, and Glorfindel Dauntless Rescuer. Choose 1, and Glorfindel Dauntless Rescuer gets +1/+1 until the end of the turn. He must be blocked by this turn if able, or he can't be blocked by more than 1 creature each combat this turn. So again, the elves seem to be working with scry a lot in Lord of the Rings, which makes sense given the foresight of the elves in Middle-earth. The next one I'm also incredibly happy about getting. I got Arwen Undomiel. She is a 1 green, 1 blue legendary elf noble. Whenever you scry, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, and you can pay a good chunk of stuff, 4 and a green and a blue to scry 2. So I love that. I love that the elves in Middle-earth are all about scrying. The next one is another one that goes with the other 2 borderless I just showed. This is Gothmog, the Morgul Lieutenant. He is a legendary human soldier. He has 3 colorless, 1 black summon. When Gothmog, Morgul Lieutenant, enters the battlefield, amass Orcs 1. Creature tokens you control have Death Touch. Death Touch is another thing I played around with a lot. I had a deck that I was working on that, I don't know if Infest is still a thing. Infect? It is either Infect or Infest. I think it was Infect, actually. Where you put negative counters on things that, like, hit you. I was working on a deck that was dual Death Touch and Infect, which I know didn't really matter because Death Touch would do it, but the counters were also a playing point in it where it would throw counters on the thing. It would guarantee the thing's gonna die with Death Touch, but the counters being thrown on the thing would do something else. I can't remember, it's been so long. I also got Aragorn, Company Leader. He costs 1 colorless, 1 green, and 1 white. He's a legendary human ranger. Whenever the ring tempts you, if you choose a creature other than Aragorn, Company Leader, as your ring bearer, put your choice of a counter from among First Strike, Vigilance, Death Touch, and Lifelink on Aragorn. Whenever you put 1 or more counters on Aragorn, put 1 of each of those kinds of counters on up to 1 other target creature. So that one's really cool. Again, it's using the ring tempting mechanic that I'm not familiar with. The next one, it took me a while to figure out what this was, but then I finally got it, and because of that, once I realized it, I loved it that much more. This is the Gift of Strands, and you can see that this is Gimli receiving the hair from Galadriel. This is a 3 colorless, 1 green enchantment aura that does flash, enchant creature. When Gift of Strands enter the battlefield, scry 2, of course, and the enchanted creature gets +3/+3. The next one is another map, but this one is a foil. This is a forest, and you can see it is the old forest near Buckland, and I just think that's absolutely gorgeous. And then the next card is just like that previous Sam. This one is also the same kind of like border, and it looks really cool. This is another Golem Patient Plotter, which is the same as the first one we got from the Guaranteed set. Again, I like the art in this one a lot more, but this one's still really good. And then the last card that I got that made me the happiest because of just the picture in this is so great, and I need to actually check to see what's different from it and the other ones, because now I have 3 cards of Samwise. This one is just Samwise Gamgee. He is a 1 green, 1 white, legendary creature halfling peasant. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, create a food token. Sacrifice 3 foods and return target historic card from your graveyard to your hand, which is really nice. That's very cool because this is Sam at the end of the whole adventure, surrounded by his children, reading the book. So I love that. That is, as a Lord of the Rings fan, that is a very beautiful card to kind of like sum up the end of the entire saga. But yeah, that's going to be it for right now. They're all the cards that I basically pulled that I am very, very happy with as a Lord of the Rings fan. Let's check what the difference is between these two, because this is Samwise the Stout-Hearted, which is what the other one was too. So he has all the food stuff. This one is Flash, and when Samwise the Stout-Hearted enters the battlefield, choose up to 1 target permanent card in your graveyard that was put there in the battlefield. This turn, return it to your hand, then the ring tempts you. That's really cool, and I also love the tiny, tiny detail that he goes from being a 1 colorless, 1 white, to a 1 green, 1 white at the end, because he is planting a forest and everything. I love that. I think they did really good on this set, at least from what I've been able to see just from these packs alone, and it's very, very heartwarming to a big Tolkien fan like myself. And so, yeah, just wanted to share what I pulled and what I'm happy about. I am starting to get back into Magic the Gathering, slowly but steadily, so there might be some more MTG content coming down the line. This was just a spur-of-the-moment thing. I was like, I wanted to send pictures to my friends and all that about the cards that I got. And I'm like, look at this, look at this, look at this! But then I was like, oh, there's so many cards, I don't want to just spam them with 100 pictures, so I'll just do this little video. But hope you guys are all having a good one, and I will see you guys in the next video. So until then, everybody, peace out.